We really do welcome you to, this is the 20th World AIDS Day, and as we celebrate the progress that's been made and yet how much more we've got to go forward in the battle against AIDS, we wanted to do a particular emphasis on President Bush and the PEPFAR initiative and all that's been done in the last 5 years.
The United States is now the largest contributor to the global response and will spend $48 billion over the next 5 years, not only on AIDS, but also malaria and tuberculosis. We are not powerless in the face of disease. I pledge to do my utmost in this struggle, and I will count on you to join me.
Mr. President, as Melinda said, PEPFAR and the President's Malaria Initiative are both terrific success stories, and we hope they'll continue to flourish in the coming years. Of course, we're facing difficult economic times, and the next administration and Congress will have to make some very tough spending choices. But investments in proven global health initiatives are among the wisest our country can make. Having made so much progress in recent years, this is no time to turn back.
It's a big day in the life of an activist because we're stopping today to mark a moment. And that moment is what's been achieved in the fight against this tiny little virus that's caused so much damage, HIV/AIDS. I want to thank President Bush for his leadership. He is a hero. You are a hero, sir, in the fight against this deadly disease.
I mentioned earlier in our pre-show that no man in history, no world leader, has ever done more for global health than President George W. Bush, and I think we need to recognize that. Now, I want to talk about the results of PEPFAR in 5 areas: saving lives, creating new partnerships, trust in local leadership, encouraging behavior, and reducing stigma. Now first, these are 5 things that as I've watched this program develop from the ground, that are very unique, very unusual. For instance, insisting on accountability. When you established this, and you first announced it at the State of the Union, 2003, you insisted on measurable goals. Most development's afraid to do that. They're scared to death to do that. But you did. So how are we doing? Tell me about what's happened in the last 5 years.
Well, Ricky, we're doing pretty good. I insisted upon measurable goals because I felt that lives need to be saved.
Yeah.
And if you don't have measurable goals, lives might not be saved. We live in a process world in government. Oftentimes people said, what are the inputs? This is an administration that tried to get people to ask the question, are we actually doing something? And so we set a goal of saving 50,000, well, when we got started, there were 50,000 people getting antiretrovirals in all sub-Saharan Africa. And we set a goal of 2 million people about 5 years to get antiretrovirals.
From 50,000 to 2 million.
In 5 years. And, you know, thank you for setting this up because today we're able to announce that we're over 2 million in less than 5 years.
All of these problems are connected. Literacy, poverty, disease, education. And that's what the Peace Plan is all about. Peace stands for promote reconciliation, equip leaders, assist the poor, care for the sick, and educate the next generation. And this year, the Peace Coalition of churches, over 400,000 churches in 162 countries, and businesses and individuals, part of the Peace Coalition, decided that we wanted to begin a tradition of presenting an award called the International Medal of Peace for the most outstanding contribution in attacking what we call the 5 global Goliaths. spiritual emptiness, corruption, extreme poverty, pandemic diseases, and illiteracy. And the consensus was unanimous that the first International Medal of Peace would be presented to President George Bush on the 20th anniversary of World AIDS Day, and it is with great honor and great humility and respect that we give you this award on the behalf of all of those in the Peace Coalition representing 162 countries. And we thank you, sir, for your commitment. He publicly stated that he was supporting PEPFAR, would renew his commitment and his dedication to being a part of this. And I asked him to bring a greeting about where we need to go in the future. And so I want you to watch this from President-elect Obama.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to send my greetings and to share a few words with you on this special day. It's my privilege to thank Pastor Rick, Kay, and all of you for your leadership in the struggle against HIV/AIDS and your steadfast commitment to eradicating this disease. On this 20th anniversary of World AIDS Day, I think it's appropriate to look back for a moment to when this day was first observed. In 1988, when ministers of health from around the world first had the notion to set aside a day to highlight the threat of HIV/AIDS, they faced widespread ignorance and fear. Back then, many refused to even acknowledge the existence of this disease, let alone the devastating impact it was having on families and communities around the world. Today, because of the work of people like you, women in Kenya who were widowed by the disease and once shunned by society have banded together to support and empower each other. Scientists around the world are discovering and engineering new medicines to give people with HIV/AIDS another chance at life. NGOs and faith-based institutions are marshaling the best of the human spirit to help those affected. And world governments are coming together to address the humanitarian crisis the pandemic has left in its wake. I salute President Bush for his leadership in crafting a plan for AIDS relief in Africa and backing it up with funding dedicated to saving lives and preventing the spread of the disease. And my administration will continue this critical work to address the crisis around the world. But we must also recommit ourselves to addressing the AIDS crisis here in the United States with a strong national strategy of education, prevention, and treatment, focusing on those communities at greatest risk. This strategy must be based on the best available science and built on the foundation of a strong healthcare system. But in the end, this epidemic can't be stopped by government alone, and money alone is not the answer either. All of us must do our part. This year's slogan, "Stop AIDS, Keep the Promise," is a timely one. In the Apostle Paul's letter to the Corinthians, he asked, "If the trumpet does not sound a clear call, who will get ready for battle?" We as leaders must continue to sound that call and encourage others to see themselves as leaders in this fight. And we must reaffirm our own commitment to confront and defeat this disease once and for all. Thank you for your extraordinary work that each of you do every day. I'm humbled by your devotion to this cause and look forward to working with you and new partners in this effort in the years ahead. God bless you all.